around here. Don't be surprised if LSU comes out and gives Georgia everything they can handle. Because I like the matchup. I do. I would have been, a healthy Tennessee would have been more scary in this game than Georgia, because I like that Georgia's offense is a little more slow, methodical, and disciplined. I like that, it doesn't play fast and high tempo and it's all over the place. I like all that. So just don't be surprised. All right, guys, I've got Aaron Murray in the backstage here. I'm about to get him locked and loaded. We're going to preview the game with him. Give me just a second. We're going to thank Tremonti's and bring him on up.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
And there he is. Brand new father. Brought a child to the world on Thanksgiving. Aaron, how's it going with no sleep, man?
Oh man, we're surviving. So this is our second child. So we have a 2.5-year-old boy, and this was number 2. So it's going from
veteran.
1 to 2 is, yeah, it was somewhat, but I mean, going from 1 to 2 is a whole new grind, man. Because it's no longer, you get him for a little bit, I get him for a little bit. It's no. Wife takes care of Miles, a little new girl, and then I got the boy. So it's man on man going forward. But it's going great right now. She's awesome. She's actually sleeping pretty well, and little man, he's slowly getting adjusted to having a sister and not all the attention on him right now.
Oh yeah, man. Look, I'm going through it too right now. As I've told you, man, it's a lot, But hopefully the little man can kind of help relieve some of the burden for you at some point. I don't know. 2.5 might be a little too young. Maybe he's just hurting things, but hopefully he can be a big brother and step up to the plate a little bit. All right. Trivia question for you, Aaron. Who was the starting quarterback the last time Georgia beat LSU of the Georgia Bulldogs?
Aaron Murray?
Aaron Murray. That's right. I think you might have some inside information there, man. Boy, what a game that was, by the way.
How many times has Georgia played LSU?
Only 3 times. No, it's been very rare, and I think that it's a shame to me because I wish they could play more often. I just hate the way the SEC's set up. Like, you only get one rotating opponent.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, for me, I was at Georgia for 5 years, and the only time I played Alabama was in the SEC championship game. Like, right. I could have gone 5 years of being at University of Georgia and never faced Bama if we didn't play them in 2012. Right. Like, that's just absurd. The fact that Georgia's never been to Texas A&M. I'm sure there's places that LSU fans are saying, man, we haven't been here in forever, or played this team forever. So, I think we are moving towards divisionless. So, no East, no West, just, 16 teams. And hopefully it frees up some fun scheduling for players and fans. I mean, shoot, I'll be honest. Like, I got sick of playing Vanderbilt every year. I got sick of playing South Carolina every year. Like, I get, I get keeping Florida and Auburn for us, and we'll see what LSU gets. But I think it'd be refreshing for everyone to spice it up a little bit.
I'm all about it, man. And I liked the kind of pod system they pitched at first, but no divisions I'm also fine with. It's more fair, and it really doesn't feel like a conference when you think about, LSU's been to Missouri once since Missouri joined the conference. Missouri joined the conference when you were playing football 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That is wild to think about. So I think you got to do something. I like some rotation. Make it to where a 4-year player at least plays every team in the SEC.
Yes.
But that's neither here nor there. Do you ever, you played in a lot of big ball games, but for me, that Georgia LSU game is one of my favorite to think about, like, especially for a loss for LSU. It was just such a wild shootout. And for LSU, we weren't used to that, man. How fondly do you think back to that game? And does that rank anywhere near the top in your list? You played your former teammate.
Yeah, no, and my former roommate in Zach Menenberger. Probably my favorite game I played during my 4 years. And I played in some really fun games. But everyone always wants to talk about 3 games. They want to talk about 2012, the SEC championship game, which we lost. They want to talk about 2013, the Hail Mary, the prayer of Jordan Hare, which we lost.
Wild.
So I'm like, damn, like 2 of the games that I was a part of that people want to talk to me about are both losses. And then obviously the third one is that game versus LSU in Sanford Stadium, which we won. So I'm 1 for 3 for having to talk about the best games I was a part of during my 4 years. But yeah, the atmosphere was great. The star power was incredible. We had Todd Gurley, we had Malcolm Mitchell, you guys had Odell and Jarvis, and obviously Manberger and other guys like that. Game day was there, 2 top 10 teams, and it was fun. It was back and forth. Not a lot of defense. Luckily, our guys stepped up there in the last drive, but it was one I won't forget because of how exciting it was. But like after the game, for those that were in Sanford that day, whether you're LSU fan, probably left a little bit early, but no one wanted to leave. Like we were in the locker room. Bobo came in the locker room and was like, "Hey guys," because he was up in the booth. He's like, "Everyone's still here," and we're like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, the fans are still here. I mean, the game been over for 25, 30 minutes. We go out and the stadium is 90% still packed. Like no one wanted to leave. That's just how much fun the game was, the day was. And so we just ended up running around, signing autographs, taking pictures. So yeah, it was a day that I'll never forget.
Yeah, well, you and Zach had over 700 yards passing that day. I mean, and look, I'm shocked you rolled out there to take the knee. I thought whoever was going to lose, I thought last team with the ball was going to win this game. Yeah. And I was wrong. But Bulldogs took care of business. But one of my favorite losses to remember for LSU. So LSU plays Georgia again this week, I think. And they're playing for a lot. Georgia's 18.5 point favorites, man.
Keeps going up.
Yeah, it's that's a wide spread, man. Is that confidence from Vegas? Do you feel that being pushed onto the fan base and possibly even the team?
Well, I think Georgia feels like they're the best team in the country. I mean, they're ranked 1. They've been ranked 1. They're defending national champs, and they're undefeated.
And they deserve it, no doubt.
And they deserve it. 100% they deserve it. I know a lot of people are like, well, Michigan just whooped up on Ohio State. Like, that was a great win. Don't get me wrong. I think Michigan's a great team. But, like, Georgia's, they're still the reigning champs. Until someone knocks them out, they deserve to be 1, and they've done nothing but earn that respect to continue to get that ranking. But I am shocked a little bit by the number. I think it's a little bit of uncertainty to me of how healthy Jaden is, because I like LSU. I'm not going to lie. Like beginning of the season, I looked at the roster. I've talked to, I do a show with T-Bob every day. I talk with Hester a ton, and I've always been a big fan of Brian Kelly. Like what he did at Notre Dame was tremendous. I kind of ranked him as a top 5 coach in America. I was like, damn, you take that coach, you put him on this roster with all that talent. It's just a matter of time before things click, and you really start to see that throughout the season. So to me, like talent-wise, I don't think there's a major gap. I think you're talking about 2 of the best coaches in America.
I'm going to disagree with you. On the coaches. No. I absolutely, you're right on coaches. Talent, I think Georgia has the most in the country. I mean, it is.
But I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they're not more talented. I'm saying the gap is not extreme.
I think I've spoke a lot about LSU's got a bit of a Frankenstein roster, in my opinion, this year. I mean, really kind of duct taped together, some good guys, but I mean, LSU had 2 running backs for the Texas A&M game. Yeah. You see, so like, yeah, there's some good players. Jaden Daniels there, but they got 65 scholarship players. I do think there's a talent deficit, but I think you're spot on with coaches.
You think of the receivers. I mean, the receivers I think are a plus. I go back to even that Alabama game. I thought the offensive line, those freshman tackles looked terrific. So I think there's some youth and some talent there. Harold Perkins may be the second best player on the football field come this weekend. I think guys like Jay Ward on the back end and some of those other guys have shown to make plays throughout the season. Like there's B.J. Ojolari on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Like, there's some good players. No doubt.
It may not be as full and as deep as what Georgia has, but my thought is like if Georgia shows up and says they play a game like they did versus Missouri, or like they did versus Georgia Tech in the first half this past week, which they've shown at times to not really be fully engaged. then I think LSU can give him some issues. And I think Jaden and his ability to run, if he's healthy, is always that always gives an offense the ability to stay on the field, to steal possessions, to get first downs, and obviously to score points. I mean, that's a secret sauce right there. I mean, he's a difference maker. He's a guy that, if the past 2 weeks didn't go the way they did, average game versus Arkansas, obviously the loss versus A&M, I think he'd be right in the thick of things when it comes to the Heisman discussion. So
I agree with you.
I do think healthy Jaden could be a problem come Saturday, just like he's been for the majority of the season.
Yeah, and I do worry about, because if you don't have a healthy Jaden, that is so much of your offense for LSU. He's the heartbeat and soul for your team. What does that offense even look like without Jaden Daniels? Because you only had 2 running backs last week.
No.
That's
why I think Vegas has the line so big, is because I think they're like, okay, if Jaden plays, is he just going to be a pocket quarterback? And if he's just a pocket quarterback, this could get ugly. Like, I want to see first quarter, if Jaden, first possession takes off and runs and rips off a 10, 15-yard run, and I'll be like, okay, this could be a good ball game.
Yeah.
If he looks hesitant to take off, then as an LSU fan, I'd be like, this ain't good, because he's not, he's improved as a passer. But if Georgia knows that, hey, man, there's not a lot of depth at running back, we ain't scared of the running backs, and we can kind of just sit back and play too deep because Jaden's not going to run and give support in the back end, then I think LSU would struggle on offense.
So moving on to kind of a bigger meta picture. So Georgia just finished 12-0 for 2 consecutive seasons. They're the 3rd team since the BCS era ever to do that. And the other 2 aren't Bama, by the way. Is there a sense that maybe Georgia is taking that step to surpass Bama right now?
Oh, I think they've already surpassed Bama.
All right.
I mean, I said after last year, I mean, what Kirby's building at Georgia, and Kirby said, Saban said it when Kirby kind of took the job, I believe 5 or so years ago. He said this, that Georgia was a sleeping giant. When you talk about what does Georgia have,
Always has been, by the way.
Yeah, Georgia has one of the best coaches now in the country, one of the best coaching staffs in the country. Mm-hmm. They have a national championship. Facility-wise, probably top 5 facilities in America. Academics in the SEC, they're 3rd behind Florida and Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt 1, Florida 2, Georgia 3. Downtown Athens, for those who have not been, make sure you go take a trip. It is the best. I'm not saying it just because I've been there. I've been to pretty much every town in America in the SEC. It is the best college town in the conference. And then the proximity to Atlanta, the ability to recruit the state of Georgia, to not have a rival like Alabama, Auburn, and LSU has that too. Like LSU owns Louisiana, right. Georgia kind of owns Georgia. So like all that being said, Georgia's top 2, 3 of pretty much every category out there. It's just hard to beat. So I think Kirby right now is stacking the talent. I think they win the Natty this year. They're going to be challenged, no doubt about it. And these other teams look pretty good, but I do feel confident they win. And you look at what they're returning next year on defense.
It's scary.
I think they're going to be the favorites to be, maybe even 3-peat. Like they got to go out there and do it. But with what Alabama's losing, with what Ohio State's losing, you could make a case USC with Caleb Williams returning next season as a junior, could be up there. But with what Georgia has defensively coming back next year, and then the offensive weapons mostly being sophomores right now, I think Carson Beck's going to be a stud at quarterback. Georgia will probably be a top 2 ranked team heading into next season.
Yeah, and a lot of that relies on the quarterback, but you look at what Stetson Bennett's doing this year. He's not been as productive as he was last year. And it's not like, I feel like, yes, he's game managing and doing what he has to do, but it's not like this offense. It's not like a Jaden Daniels situation where this offense just is Stetson Bennett. You know what I mean? So I definitely could see a guy sliding in there and doing that. A lot of people gave me flack last year. I had Georgia as one of the jobs I ranked better than LSU. And I had LSU as a top 5 job. And one of my reasoning was there's 3 jobs in America where you've got this recruiting soil and not much competition for it. I mean, Ohio State has no Power 5 competition for Ohio, and that's a talent-rich state. Louisiana, same deal.
Yep.
And but Georgia Tech is there, but I don't think Georgia Tech's ever beaten Georgia for a recruit. Maybe you can remember one. I don't know. Was Calvin Johnson in the state of Georgia? I don't know. But
I think Calvin is from Atlanta, but I mean that was a long time ago. I think like going forward, if you're a 4 or 5 star kid and you get that offer from Kirby, there's a
you're not
95% chance you're going to Georgia.
All right, you are equally likely to go to Tulane over LSU as you are to go to Georgia Tech over Georgia. Exactly. So it's a little bit of disrespect to Georgia Tech is what I'm saying. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you see the recruits in Georgia. You see that they can tap into Florida. It's the same.
I was talking to AJ Harris, 5-star cornerback from Alabama that's committed to Georgia. So I think Kirby right now is, really touching base all those states surrounding. But I do agree, like Louisiana is a state where, like, I think as if you're a kid, top kid, you get an offer from LSU, there's a 80-90% chance you're going to be a Tiger.
Right, exactly. And the formula to being a top 5 team in LSU is simple. Just 8 out of the top 12 or 12 out of the top 15, and you're probably going to get a good recruiting class. I mean, that's really all you got to do. And most of those kids, I talk to kids on the recruiting trail all the time. They're like, yeah, I got LSU stuff on all 4 walls around me, man. My dad was a Tiger. His grandpa was a Tiger. I'll let you guess where I'm going to college, man. It's not that hard. All right. On the game itself, okay, let me ask this a little bit. Is the conversations on Georgia right now, are people talking about LSU or are they talking about the playoffs? That's what I want to know.
Oh, they're talking about the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it's more about the playoffs. It's more about, is Alabama going to find a way to sneak in, which the new polls tonight kind of indicate that, that's not going to happen. I don't think TCU is going to drop out regardless of what happens against Kansas State. I don't think USC should honestly drop out either. I think it's kind of unfair that they have to play another game while Ohio State and Alabama get to sit at home. But I think that's been more the conversation, like, okay, who is going to be the contenders in the playoffs that we're going to have to face? And honestly, I think right now Georgia fans are like, okay, we have to play Michigan, who we waxed last year, TCU, like, come on, TCU really, and USC, who defensively is horrendous. Obviously, Caleb is going the Heisman, but I think Georgia feels confident against taking care of business against the Trojans. So they're like, man, this could be. I think they're saying,
honestly, the 2 scariest teams in the country won't be in the playoffs. If you're just being honest, Ohio State and Bama, they're probably sitting home. So. I mean, look, here's my thought.
I'm with you. I was happy. I think all Georgia fans were ecstatic when Michigan beat Ohio State.
I mean, it's kind of
they're like, there ain't no way JJ McCarthy is going to have that type of game against Georgia in that defense.
Yeah, no way.
And if you're one-dimensional, that defense can eat you up.
No way. No. And Michigan, of course, is probably be the next scariest team there.
Yeah.
But TCU and USC, I feel like that's going to be a clobbering. So a spoiler here. So I'm picking LSU, and that's not just me being a homer because I've taken a lot of heat for being, picking. I picked Bama. I picked Ole Miss to beat LSU. I'm doing it because
those were both in Baton Rouge.
I know.
Both significantly lower,
and this will be 80-20 Georgia. Right.
Yeah, I'm. I talked to Jacob about this earlier today, actually, and I asked him the same question, like, "What do you think?" Because I feel like there's a lot more energy with LSU fans, a week ago of like, okay, this is an SEC championship. This is also an opportunity for us to maybe make the playoffs. Then I kind of felt like obviously losing the A&M kind of deflated because now there's no chance to make the playoffs. But I thought he made a good point. Like, this is to win the SEC. Is one of the biggest accomplishments you can have as a player, as a school fan base. Like, you hang banners for that. It's national championship and SEC championships. Like, this is huge.
This is everything for LSU.
Yes.
You think LSU cares about that stupid bowl game?
No.
Compared to this? Hell no, they don't. Yeah. This is everything in Georgia.
I think it'd be kind of sad if it is 80-20. Like, I get it's easier for Georgia to get there.
Right.
But, like, at least make it like 60-40. Like, come on,
we'll see.
Show up.
We'll see.
Boys, have a little fun.
We'll see. I think a lot of the fans will be hesitant. I think that 18.5 is probably gonna, probably send a little bit of the fans away. And I don't know. I'm no expert on that, but we'll see. I just assume 80-20 because it's right in Georgia's backyard, and Georgia's so good, and they're so excited. And, even when it's on the road, Georgia travels so well. Those fans do. But the reason I'm taking LSU is I genuinely think Georgia, first off, they don't need this game. Georgia could lose this game and still probably not even be the fourth team. I mean, quite frankly, they might be the third or hell, I don't even second. Maybe Michigan's one and Georgia's two. They don't need this. They didn't even need it last year. Their eyes are on bigger, better things. And like I said, most of the talk's about the playoff right now. They're overlooking LSU.
I think the issue for LSU is Georgia lost this game last year and got embarrassed.
I get that.
I think that's the problem. I think Kirby's kind of message, like, we ain't sleeping on the SEC championship. Like, I want my SEC championship. I want to make a statement. I don't want to go backwards. I don't want us to feel embarrassed like we did last year.
I get it, but I also think that story had a happy ending, though.
I get it, but you also, like, once again, though, like, winning the SEC championship is the second best thing you could do.
Absolutely, so, no doubt. I could see.
I think they learned their lesson. I could see they learned their lesson.
Emotions being at one point, and Georgia's shown just enough vulnerability, just enough to make me think if LSU gives it its A+ and Georgia gives me a C-, I think LSU could pull it off.
Makes it. I think LSU keeps it close. Like, I would kind of lean towards LSU with the points in this game. I think that's, once again, it's kind of hard to judge because you just really don't know if Jaden's healthy or not, or what he can do mobility wise. But if you get a 85% healthy or 80% healthy, I think they could cover that spread.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to roll out pocket passer Jaden, because we all know that, like, that's not going to be a good situation. But 80-90% speed Jaden, where he's still able to run the ball and make some plays, you might see that. I don't think you're going to see immobilized Jaden. I think if it's immobilized Jaden, they're going to roll out Garrett Nussmeier and do what they can do. I do wonder about how this is going to affect his preparation. I lean toward he's probably just fine because he did finish out that A&M game. Yeah. And we'll see, man. I mean, maybe he goes out there and he's gimpy and I look real stupid picking LSU. That's possible. If he's gimpy, LSU's going to get blown out. Yeah, but I think if LSU gives it their best shot, and I think the emotions for LSU are going to be there, LSU wants this game so incredibly bad. There is no better game on LSU's schedule left. And they're pissed off that they got embarrassed last week. They're going to be playing with pride. I think LSU does give their best shot. And I'm kind of expecting, for my prediction to come true, I'm kind of expecting to catch Georgia sleeping. But we'll see. What's your score prediction?
Oh, man. Let's go with a little 31-17 Georgia.
Okay.
Still a 2-score game, but they covered the spread.
Okay. All right. So you're taking LSU with their points. All right. I dig it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining the show, Aaron. I know your life is chaotic because my life is chaotic, and I'm got a 3-week head start on you right now. So, man, why don't you tell the people where they can check you out and all your good shows you got going on right now?
Yeah. So first off, I do a daily show with T-Bob A-Bear down there at Baton Rouge. We have a show called Snaps we do through the Volume Network and Colin Coward. We're live every day at 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. We also do a late night show on Saturdays, which for those who know T-Bob gets really entertaining.
Oh yeah.
So that's always fun. Work for ESPN covering games. I think I got a couple bowl games coming up in December. And then I have a Sirius XM show on the SEC channel from 3 to 6 every day as well. So staying busy, and then just trying to find some Z's every now and then with the 2 babies in the house.
Well, good luck, man. I haven't been able to find him, so if you get some, sling some my way. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can go follow him on Twitter at Aaron Murray 11. Appreciate you for coming on, Aaron.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, take it easy, bud. That was Aaron Murray, the last Georgia Bulldog to beat LSU. God, he's good. I'm so glad he took the time to come on my show. I've gone on his radio show on Sirius XM a few times this year, and I'm really glad I got him to repay the favor. All right, I'm going to transition. Y'all have heard my take on why I'm picking